From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Armchair Experts with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM on Wednesday, March the 22nd, the year of our Lord, 2017. And now, here they are, live, in person, Jim and Rich.
Aren't we sitting up and breathing on our own?
I was, Jen, I don't think
Are we on life support?
Did he have that planned out or what? I thought he got up to that point where he usually, gives us the needle, and he's like, oh, okay.
I think
we'll just say Jim and Rich this time.
I think before we got started, I think John was looking at cat videos on his phone or something. I don't know what it was going on in there. Jeez. I don't know where to begin today. We have so many things we could talk about. We could talk about the NCAA tournament. We could talk about the Bears. Try to hold down the bile in your throat on that. Although I feel positive about some things, but I mean, gosh, we've had stories this since the last time we've get together with Gale Sayers' unfortunate situation with suffering from dementia, and I saw Dwight Clark yesterday is suffering from ALS.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Chuck Berry passed away, for those of you who are in the music. And can you tell me, Mr. Massaro, the only two songs that Chuck Berry ever had that were number one here in Chicago?
No.
Sweet Little 16.
I would have never thought of that.
Whoop. Let's try that again. And here
That's not Sweet Little 16.
No, here's his other.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of this one. This is, what's the name of this?
Ding-a-ling.
Oh, My Ding-a-Ling, yeah.
I remember the first time I heard that on the air. Lou Jack played it, and he played the song, and it ended, and he paused for a few moments, and he goes, "Let's play that one again." I think he may have played it 4 times in a row.
Jim, there was actually one thing I had that was on my mind as I walked in, and then you actually jogged my memory about something else I wanted to mention. When you mentioned the things that we might want to talk about.
And that is what?
Well, Nancy Armour, who's a columnist for USA Today and appears in the Sun-Times pretty often, her column does, and a lot of times somebody I disagree with had a column yesterday, and the basic premise of the column was something I think you and I have talked about. This year, all I read was that the Big Ten was down in basketball, and her column basically was this: the Big Ten is a super competitive conference.
Yes, it is.
It's often compared unfavorably to the ACC and the Big East, and her contention was, at least in terms of the ACC, there's a couple of teams that are powerhouses right at the top, but the overall quality of the conference fades pretty quickly as you go down the line. And I was gratified to hear that or to read that column, because I think it is right on. The Big Ten is really tough competition in the conference, night in and night out. And it doesn't always guarantee that you're going to get how many teams do they have in the Sweet 16? 3 or 4?
They have 3 in the Sweet 16 now. They've got Purdue, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And Wisconsin knocked off the team that a lot of people thought was going to win.
Yeah, Nova, right?
Yeah.
But, I think her premise is a good one. When you play in a tough conference, again, there's never any guarantee, but it helps you get ready for those tough games, in this case in March.
That's right. And you have the teams that went in. The highest seed team was Purdue at 4.
Yes, there was no higher seed than 4.
No higher seed than 4.
The only game I saw, I believe, the whole second half of the Northwestern Gonzaga game, and I know that
I saw most of that too. We were at some friends Saturday night, and they had the game on.
I know that Northwestern the second half was probably their half more so than Gonzaga's. Gonzaga was, pretty much blowing them out in the first half. But when I looked at the game, at least the part of the game I saw, if Gonzaga is a number one seed, I'm not knocking Gonzaga, but I think this is a tournament where you could say, I doubt if there's any really powerhouse team that you could say, oh, this is
no.
These are the odds-on favorites.
This is a year that you could look at the field right up front and say, this could be anybody's. This could be anybody's. Wisconsin was a number 8 seed. Let me just scan the initial one here. Northwestern was an 8 seed. Maryland was a 6 seed. I have to remember that Maryland's in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State was a 9. They tried their best to give that, at least the way it started, I thought they were going to give that opening round game away, but boy, they just locked it down and shut down Miami. But what happened against Kansas was about what I expected. Purdue was a 4. Michigan was a 7. Minnesota was a 5 seed. Yeah, I mean, Purdue was your highest seed.
Yeah.
I think it talks about the quality. I think it talks about the quality of the competition.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's tough competition every time you play a game in the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of who you play. And when you think about, I don't know if I mentioned this to you or somebody else that I was talking to, but I would see the small 1 or 2 paragraph recaps of the conference games during the year, and I'd always take a look to see, who's got what record, because they give that to you in captions, or in parentheses, I should say. And I'd be, geez, man, these teams, Ohio State would have its moments, Penn State,
Sure.
Iowa,
Sure.
all of these teams could come up and bite you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Your only weak sister in the league was Rutgers.
Rutgers, right?
Really, that I can think of.
yeah. So it's it's just a dogfight every time you Indiana was another team that was dangerous. They
had
obviously
they had their moments.
yeah. So when you're talking about Indiana, Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State, those teams not making the big dance. Illinois, another one. I mean, here in Illinois, in Chicago, we understand that Illinois has problems. But you know what? Illinois was they were a dangerous team. They won their share of games in the Big Ten, and they won their share of games in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you this, and I'm not going to be able to think of this gentleman's name. But I ran into somebody from the neighborhood who coached at Ridgewood. I'm not going to mention his name, but a guy whose opinion I respect. Saw him on Sunday night, and he thought that Illinois has made an excellent choice for their new basketball coach.
I do too. And actually, on the drive over here today, we're doing this on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Underwood was on the Score, and he was saying all the things you would expect him to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the one thing that bothers me was he was only at Oak State for a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that kind of bothered me.
Well, this gentleman was looking at it from the point of view of recruiting because he was mentioning that Oklahoma State was averaging some phenomenal number of points a game.
Yeah.
And where they had been the year prior to this, is it Underwood? Is that the new coach?
Yeah, Brad Underwood.
What they had been the year prior and what they did the year that he was there were, miles apart. And he felt that this gentleman I was talking to didn't feel that Illinois had recruited the Chicagoland area very well.
That's been a problem for years.
And he felt that Underwood, with his style of game, would do well recruiting in Chicago. And I guess even at the point where he was mentioned as being the new coach, a lot of the Chicago Public League coaches got on board right away and said they thought it was a good hire.
Okay.
And I know that there was somebody else that was in the running for the job. I think it was it Keats that ended up taking the North Carolina State job,
Yeah, I think so.
or was it what's his name? Was it who's the Syracuse coach, assistant coach that took the Washington
That
job?
took the
Hopkins.
Yeah.
Mike Hopkins. One of those two, I think, or both maybe, were in the running for the Illinois job. And at the point that he was or it could have been the Virginia coach, too, and I'm not sure. Tony Bennett, I guess, is the guy I'm thinking of. And Virginia is a stellar defensive team, a very good team.
But his play,
his style of play
wouldn't fit.
It wouldn't really match where his recruiting base would be.
Yeah.
So
Underwood's comment, he said, our objective is always to score within the first 7 seconds. That's really the objective. That's the kind of pace they like to play. But he also said he likes to adjust things to his personnel.
Okay.
So it's not going to come in with the formula and force it on his players, which I think is a good idea.
It's the best idea.
And they really need to recruit Illinois better. And God Almighty, Illinois has been shut out of. Seems like it's been shut out of the Chicago area since. What's his name got mad because Jimmy Collins didn't get the head coaching job.
Yeah, I don't know who got mad. Was it the Simeon coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
now he's been gone for a long time. I can't remember who before Robert Smith was the coach, but he was a very well respected and
he was
a Hall of Fame coach. So.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either. I thought of his name in the car, and now it's went.
Tell me about that. Does that happen?
Yeah,
on occasion?
That's
fairly often.
John's laughing. He's looking at it, going, "Yeah, you guys now are going to see what it's like."
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember something, and then you go, "Oh, I can remember this," and you get out, and you go, "Yep, that's it. It's gone."
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's gone. It'll be interesting to see how this develops. I guess. I guess it's maybe one thing. I guess it's Whitman's aggressive attitude that kind of impresses me with what he's trying to do to turn that school around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not sold on Lovie Smith being the answer. I know some friends were very excited when Lovie got the head coaching job. I said, well. If you like mediocre football and condescending head coaches, by golly, you got your guy.
Well, I mean, Lovie is he's a winning coach, and he's put it this way, I don't think he's the guy who maybe gets you totally over the top, but he'll get you a long way there.
I hope he'll get you. He'll get you there. I know he came into a point last year where I don't think he had an opportunity to do much in the way of recruiting when I hired him.
No, I don't know what it is. I can't put any words to it, but there's just something about Illinois that seems to be, I don't know, it just does not draw, even though it's a Big Ten school. Almost every other Big Ten school you could name is more of a draw for recruits in both football and basketball than
your home
Illinois.
state.
I really don't get it.
To draw from your home state.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen here. I think... and I can't remember if they were talking about last year's NCAA tournament or the year before. What year was it? It was within the last couple of years where there was no teams from Illinois in the NCAA tournament, but there were 57 players from the Chicago area.
Yeah,
playing.
Well, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this year. I don't know if it's this year. Of course, there were no Illinois teams in the NCAA this year, were there? No.
Well, in NCAA, I mean,
in the tournament. Oh, Northwestern.
Other than Northwestern.
Duh. I forgot.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say this: the other thing I wasn't starting out in this direction, but now that you brought that up, I really think that Illinois State was done an injustice, especially when I've seen some of the teams from your supposed power conferences with mediocre records that came in, went out, And I'm like, well, Illinois State, with 27 or 28 wins to their credit in the regular season, could have just as easily gone in and got out as whoever I'm not going to be able to put names to those schools, but there are some schools from the power conferences, for instance, that came in 18 and 13,
Yeah.
left 18 and 14.
Yeah.
And why? Why is Illinois State not there with a 27 or 28 win season?
Yeah, I mean, they end the year 28-7. They lost last night to Central Florida in the NIT.
Okay.
And, I mean, 2 screw jobs.
Yeah.
Illinois State and that lack of a goaltending call in the Northwestern game.
Yeah, that was
2 NCAA screw jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's and I'll tell you what, Northwestern was just that close to possibly reversing the outcome of that game.
Mm-hmm.
They could have advanced. I don't know who they would have played had they won.
They would have gotten the winner of. Well, at that point in time, the game was decided. They would have gotten West Virginia.
Okay.
They would have had West Virginia.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think it's a shame what happened with ISU, and yeah, you're right. That goaltending call was huge.
Yeah.
Or non-call.
That non-call was huge.
I was going to mention to you, Jim. You brought up the Bears, and I know the Bears have signed probably 7-8 free agents, and none of them are household names.
No big splashes.
But it's
what you mean,
interesting.
Prince Mukamura isn't?
Prince Mukamura.
Yeah. You're not.
I was going to say though that I'm reading Michael Holley, who's I believe a Boston area writer, and has written at least 3 books that I know of. Has a new book out called Brady and Belichick, or Belichick and Brady. And reading the first part of that book is fascinating because obviously Bill Belichick's history as a head coach wasn't going to knock your socks off.
No.
Came in though, he still had his plan, and you had one big piece in the puzzle that existed when he came, which was Drew Bledsoe. A superstar quarterback, at least a quarterback being paid like a superstar, but a very good quarterback. And Belichick comes in, and the first year they signed 6 or 7 free agents, and everybody's like,
Who
are these guys?
Who are these guys? Which is the reaction we're all having with the Bears signings.
And it's the and I don't know if the parallel will be accurate, but when I look at who the Bears are signing, I'm like, well, you know what? Say if Ryan Pace, my opinion would be, I think he's a sharp guy. If these are your, how would you put it? Your signings, which are not big impact, they're not high dollar signings,
placeholders.
They're no, they're quality guys, but they're not household names. Maybe these are the type of guys that we've got here. I don't know. We talked about this, I think, the last time we talked, and I used to know every NFL player, maybe have a little bit of an idea about them.
Sure. Now
I have no idea about any of these guys, but that doesn't really mean anything.
No.
Just because I don't know much about Quentin Dumps doesn't mean he's not a good player.
He can't be a good player.
Yeah.
It also makes it look interesting now, as far as their draft.
That would be real interesting.
Now that's going to be the key.
Yeah.
To me. You can start off with. I'm trying to go search for an article here. Because I saw somebody who wrote an article, and I can't remember what website I saw, where they basically did a mock draft for all 7 rounds for the Bears.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be interesting.
Now I got to find.
You don't remember who the first rounder was?
It's a defensive player, Jonathan. From Stanford?
Yeah, I'm not sure who it would be.
Here it is. Okay. Is this the article? Yeah. Is this the same article? When is this? When was this one posted? 3 hours ago. Okay. Here. Oh, here's an even newer one on the mock draft.
Okay. Who wrote the article?
This is somebody on thewindycity.com. So I'm guessing Meatball.
Oh, well, okay.
And Come on. No.
Well, I'm thinking, Jim, as you look.
Okay. All right. They're talking here on this one, Deshaun Watson as being the first pick. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Actually, on the other article that I was trying to find, he was the backup pick on the first round, and they were also looking more at Mahomes.
Okay.
As a second round pick.
Well, I think though, even though I don't think it would be Deshaun Watson, I don't think that is actually as a far out an idea, because I think what they've set themselves up to do is to, take the best players available at the point in time that they're drafting.
Oh, yeah.
So whoever they determine that is, it may not be Deshaun Watson, but I guess my point would be, I think they've made themselves feel that they're not drafting for a need at this point. They're going to draft the best player available.
They're going to draft the best player available. I think you have enough quarterbacks in there. I think Watson can be I think Watson could be an impact player right from the beginning. If he learns how to to go under the center.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always a weakness.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who has said to me, well, geez, I don't think Jordan Howard is really that great. How about Leonard Fournette if he's there? And I was like, well, and now you may have set yourself up where if you wanted to do that, I'm not saying that's what you would do, but if you wanted to do that, you might be able to do that. I actually, Jim, I'm thinking that we're going to see maybe an outside linebacker.
I think so too. I think that's the best possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the thing would be we've let's see. We've signed a cornerback, a safety. We've signed now we have a backup nose tackle we just signed. We've got a tight end. We've got a couple wide receivers. We got a quarterback. We've got a offensive lineman to add some depth. And I think I might be. Did we sign another defensive back recently?
Yes.
I lost track.
I've lost track too.
But they've signed 7, 8, maybe 9. And all for need, I would say. The other thing that you have to keep in consideration is Hronis Grasu will be back and hopefully healthy, which means Cody Whitehair obviously is initially a guard. There is a possibility that if Grasu came back and played center, Whitehair could be a guard, and Kyle Long would move back out to a tackle.
Move back out to a natural position.
Yeah.
So there's hope. They just signed Chris Prasinski.
Oh, it's good guy for the good guy.
Actually a good special teams player.
Yeah. Talking about Prasinski, one of the other things, because it goes along with my thinking personally, and I think, Jim, you and I might have mentioned this to each other, briefly a few times. But Belichick was interesting to see his whole, obviously he's into every part of the game and devotes a lot of time to the kicking game. And it was interesting about his whole philosophy about special teams that I don't care if you're the starting tight end. If you can help me on special teams, you're going to be on special teams. So in other words, we're not going to have a team where it's starters, and then the other guys who are the backups are the special teamers. We're going to have a team where if Kyle Long can help us on special teams, he'll be on special teams.
He'll be on special teams.
And then the guy who
then
backs
go
him
play.
up isn't necessarily a special teamer. He may be actually a good guard or tackle or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It frees you up a little bit to make your team deeper, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could remember where I saw that. Doggone it. This
Yeah.
is another one of those. I should save the link.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, Jim.
Yeah.
That would be a very good idea.
Ah, but I can remember this, of course. That's no problem.
Yeah. John, what do you think about that?
What do you think about that, John? Huh?
Okay.
You're old. That's what he's going to say.
Think about what?
Think about what? Think about Jim trying. He
Trying
says
to
to himself, "Oh, no problem. I'll remember how to get that off of my phone." And then he's struggling.
Yeah, now I can't remember where I found it.
Yeah.
That happens to me all day long, gentlemen.
Oh man. No wonder. Never mind. I was going to say something that would probably got us kicked off the air. So forget about it.
Yeah, or
I almost did. I almost blurted it out. Forget about it.
John.
Anyway,
It's
we're
not
back
the worst
to-
time we've said the worst thing we've ever
Oh,
said.
this would probably be something that I would guarantee you would get us kicked off.
Lord.
And it has nothing to do with anything. No foul words or anything involved.
Yeah, okay. John wouldn't be going for the phone.
So, did you like the overall? Did you like who they've signed so far?
I liked who they signed. I'm like you. We seem to be leading the league, and who he?
Yeah,
Who's he?
but again, I can't say that.
I'm just waiting for Juju Smith-Schuster.
Now, just think about this though. Yeah, there's another guy. They signed Deion Sims, I think, which is an
Yeah.
important signing
Yeah.
because what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Tight end has been a
Is-
weakness here for a while.
It has, but the fact that he's better known as a blocker than a runner will give you a clue how they're going to help to, get the maximum out of Glennon. Because with Jordan Howard, assuming he's going to be the running back, and the offensive line strengthened blocking wise with Sims, we'll be able to run the ball to hopefully open
more.
up the pass for Glennon.
Yeah.
Because my understanding, he's a very accurate passer,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have. You don't really want to have a situation where he's got to react to the rush.
I think the rap on him is he's not terribly mobile. And he's not. Well, Cutler was mobile. He wasn't smart, but he was mobile.
Yeah, he was mobile enough. Any news on him where he may be
No,
going?
no, and that was kind of funny because of all things, my wife brought that up yesterday.
Really?
Because there was a posting on Facebook from Cutler's wife where she had an Instagram post that thanked the city of Chicago and that we're going to miss, as we're getting ready to move. And I think, more than likely, I think they have a home in Nashville, so they're going to move to Nashville. Said, but all three of my kids were, were from
Born
here, and he said, I'm going to miss it, and I'm going to miss the city. And she said, nobody's interested in him. I said no, and I said, when you see that Josh McCown's been signed by the Jets.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Geno Smith has signed a $2 million contract
With the Giants, right?
to back up Eli Manning, and I thought, good Lord, E.J. Manuel found a job.
Wow.
Even he's going to back up Derek Carr in Oakland. Of course, now that means Buffalo job is open.
Oh, I thought isn't Thomas still there? Tyrod Thomas?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Not
I
to-
kind of thought at one point I thought the Jets might take a flyer on Cutler, which brings to the point. Let's talk about this after the break because I see we're to the bottom of the hour. Yep, you awake there, John? Huh?
John's ready to roll.
John's gonna hit me in the head here in a minute.
You're You're listening to Armchair Experts from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, March the 22nd with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now back to Armchair Experts with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro.
All right, I was about to talk very deep thoughts regarding Jay Cutler.
I thought you wanted to know what kind of a parent names their son Tyrod. Okay, go on. Go with your deep thought there.
No, I want to know. I want to know what was Cutler. You know, there's three things you can look at over Cutler's time here. Was he a bad quarterback? Was he a poorly coached? Or was what surrounded him not very good quality? I don't think he was I don't think he's a bad quarterback. Maybe not the brightest.
I think though that says it all. I never really thought of it. You brought up three different things. Okay, was he a bad quarterback? What was the second one, Jim?
Was he poorly coached?
Oh, poorly coached. Okay, and the third one
was he surrounded by inferior talent or whatever I said? So
I spent my share of time defending him, but I think it's great the way you just posed that question because it really. Puts it under the magnifying glass in the proper way. I've defended him because I think he was. I think he was a courageous guy. I think he was. It's not like he was shy. I've seen him get murdered and still come back for more. But having said that, I would have to say I would take number one. I think he's a poor quarterback. And what I mean by that is, does he have the tools? Yes, he does. Has he had great games? Definitely.
Yeah.
Is he a coward? No. But I just don't think he's, it's like, when does somebody finally get it through their head how they're supposed to do something? And I don't think he ever got that. He would still rely on his arm too much. I'm not a big one for technique, and I think that's overblown sometimes. But how many times do you see a guy, throw it off of his back foot and rely on his arm, and he gets it picked off, or the pass, doesn't make the connection? Yeah. And I think in that sense, the way you posed the question sort of made me realize, as much as I've defended him at various times, I don't think Jay's just that good of a quarterback.
Okay, which leads me then to my second question. Second part of that, was it poor coaching? Considering he had how many offensive coordinators he went through here?
Yeah, but
could that have been? And I think he finally had one that he might have started to connect with. And then Adam Gase went off and took the Miami job.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that could be part of the problem. But at the same time, I look at it like this. Are you learning new terminology? Are you learning, there's different systems or nuances to the systems. But at the same time, are you still making the errors in judgment? I mean, I don't think that has much to do with a change in terminology or a change in the nuances of what you're doing as an offense. I see quite a bit of bad decision making, and let's face it, all of the quarterbacks that you would like, your top line quarterbacks, have their different strengths, and they've got some weaknesses as well. Being human, but I would just say they are relatively not mistake free, but they minimize their mistakes. I'm one who will say, hey, if you're going to throw the forward pass, you're going to have interceptions. Okay, interception is going to happen, but why are they happening? There could be. just a really good defensive play, you get intercepted. That's fine. But if you're making poor decisions, that's the whole different story.
Yeah.
So, and I just say bad decision making for the most part, on Jay Cutler's part. Are a lot of the other things that you mentioned, did they help? No, they didn't help. But you know what? Again, the way you framed the question, for me, made me think, wait a minute, Jay is just not as much as I don't dislike him. So it's not my personal thing that, okay, I just want to bash Jay Cutler. I think the reality for me is he's not that good of a quarterback.
Okay. All right. I was just curious what your opinion was on that. I think I said I don't think he was that bad of a quarterback. I don't think he was the smartest out there. But I kind of go back to the issue regarding coaching. Guy who played for the Chicago Thunder, now Joliet Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Was a running back, Sean Sierra. Is trying to make his way into the media world now and doing podcasts and videocasts and things like that. Maybe one of these days, let's see if we can get Sean over here
that'd be great
to BS with us for a while. See if I can talk him into it. Because I don't know what day he does a show from someplace, and I don't remember what day of the week it is. But Sean brought up the point. We talked a little bit about it when I saw Sean last at Terry Thomas's wake when he passed away at the end of the year. And we talked a little bit about it, and he said he made an interesting point. He said Jay Cutler is like the poor, red-headed stepchild. The way he kept getting passed around from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator, and never really had a chance to get some continuity in there. And maybe it would have, maybe it might have helped with the technique.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to discount that.
Yeah, but that was kind of my view, and honestly too, with the fact that we're at this point, and you got some jobs being filled. I can't think of anything open anywhere.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about. I'm sure there's something somewhere, but I don't know what it would
Texans, maybe.
Yeah, because who did they even sign a quarterback yet?
Well, they got rid of Osweiler, which was a unique trade. Boy, that read like an NBA salary dump.
Yeah,
and I can't remember who their other quarterback was, so I don't know if it's there. But honestly, Jay is 31, 32 years old now.
Yeah,
and when you read stories of Lance Briggs, 2 years away from the game, and he's been diagnosed, he's showing signs of CTE and dementia, and he's getting worried and scared.
Yeah,
and you think of how many times Cutler got sacked, especially that one year.
Yeah,
especially that game against the Giants when they nailed him 9 times in the first half.
Yeah, that was brutal.
You may have he and the missus may be sitting there thinking, maybe we got enough money.
Yeah, well, he doesn't seem like he's out exactly.
He's not
politicking for a job or anything.
He's not out campaigning.
Yeah,
so I would not be surprised. I would not be totally surprised if you don't see Jay Cutler on a football field this year.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. I there's another thing. I think maybe one of the things I saw about Jay is he, if he was out there, I think, that was fine with him. He was good with it. But I didn't see that real passion for it.
He was passive.
Yeah,
he was always very passive.
Yeah. And so maybe what you're saying is, hey, enough is enough, and to really take the, I would say, even if it's 50% of the time, the hammering that he's taken from the media, you'd probably say, hey, I got the money, I took my lumps physically and otherwise. Why not just pack it up and do something else?
Yeah, or in his immortal words, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. So, you may not see him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Especially, I think, for him, maybe if there was something open in Tennessee where he played college football.
Right.
Or it sounded like there was a natural fit possibly with the Jets, and that didn't happen. So you know,
you're not going to get a you're not going to get a job at Tennessee with Marcus Mariota.
No, but I'm saying you could be a backup or whatever.
Is your ego going to take it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that at this point, if he's considering playing, I don't know that he's going to be a starter.
No, I don't think so either. Anywhere he goes, he's going to wind up being a backup.
Yeah.
At this point. Well, all right, we beat that up.
Yeah.
Speaking of football quarterbacks, I don't know if we talked about this last week or I texted it to you because I see that Tim Tebow is going to start his first full pro season of baseball in the Mets system at Class A in Columbia.
Yeah. I saw.
I think I texted where somebody was watching it out there, and he's in the outfield playing catch with Yohan Cespedes and overthrew him.
Yeah.
Which proved that no matter what the sport is, Tim Tebow can't hit the open man.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he did fairly well in spring training.
235.
Yeah. So
they say there's a lot of fundamentals that he's just kind of lost at. Item in here about the Sox working with Tim Anderson on an extension. The news came out as I was coming over here. They signed him to an extension. 6 years, $25.5 million. That's not bad for 4 months in the majors.
Yeah, no, it's not. But I guess
and a 2-year option.
I guess what they're looking at is that's probably if he really blossoms, that'll probably be a heck of a deal for them, though.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't blossom, he'll be easier to move. So it's probably from both sides. It's more money than Tim Anderson probably ever thought he'd make in his life when he was a young guy, and so that's pretty cool for him. But at the same time, from the Sox point of view, you got a bargain if he works out, then you can move him if he doesn't work out.
Yeah, 25 mil over 6 years. Let me see if I still got I saw the news flash from the Tribune. The White Sox have agreed to a 6-year, $25 million deal with shortstop Tim Anderson. The deal comes after Anderson put in 4 months in the majors after his June debut. 4 months in the majors after his June debut. 2-year option. Which could take the contract up to over $50 million if the Sox enter. So you have him under control for the potential of 8 years.
Yeah.
There's your first building block.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what they see.
That's what they see.
Now, how would you like to be Charlie Tilson, though? Comes on.
Poor Charlie.
He could be the starting center. And did you see that? Borges is having a really good spring training, and I think the other guy, Jacob May, who's probably going to start in the minors, but is having a great spring training, are both center field candidates.
Yeah.
And, so Charlie hopefully will sometime get off the disabled list. I don't know when.
Poor Charlie. I feel sorry for this guy. I told you I was getting the urge. I wanted to find a baseball magazine. By golly, I couldn't find. Street and Smith's isn't around anymore.
So you found the 2017
baseball
yearbook, Sporting News.
World Series prediction: Cubs over the Red Sox. That's reasonable.
I guess.
Reasonable.
We're in March. It's always reasonable.
Everything is reasonable in March. But it's interesting to look at their who they view as their top 20 prospects. Yohan Moncada, who I think we'll probably see this year to see if he's ready.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. I'm always concerned with the White Sox because Kenny Williams wants to either rush them up there before they're ready or trade them.
Yeah.
And I hope he can keep his hands off things and keep his nose out of the baseball side.
Yeah. Carlos Rodon is a nice example of that. I noticed that he's had I don't know if you've followed him in the spring training, but he's had a weird spring training.
Yeah.
He went for the first couple of weeks. I think he barely even threw a ball other than playing catch.
Right. I think they just wanted to hold him and,
Yeah.
not not use innings that you could use down the stretch in March.
But I guess my point is I'm trying to piggyback on your point of rushing people. Last year they brought up was it Carson Fulmer?
Yeah.
Now the last thing I read about Carson Fulmer is, they're saying his location and everything. I mean, he's going to have to really work on that. But yet, they couldn't resist bringing him up to the majors for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever last
8 games.
8 games last season.
8 games. He's on the major league roster right now.
Yeah.
And because I was looking, as soon as you said it, I wonder if they still list him as a prospect. Lucas Giolito, he's had some good outings. Michael Kopech, they say, his stuff is nasty.
Yeah.
105-mile-an-hour fastball.
But though I think right now he seems from everything I've read, he's a long way from making it to the majors.
Okay, they're viewing Fulmer as the 5th prospect.
Okay.
Chicago quickly rushed Fulmer, the 8th overall pick in the 2015 draft out of Vanderbilt, through its system into the big leagues in 2016. He has the stuff to be a top-of-the-rotation starter, but ideally would benefit from more time to refine his delivery and command.
Yeah.
So there's that's one you got to worry about. Zach Birdie is another one who's got some great, got a great fastball, but is he somebody that needs to spend a little more time?
Well, you and another friend of mine on Facebook, Jeff Garrick, both posted the same thing recently about Greg Maddux and how many batters he walked over the years, and how many times he went to a 3-0 count. And out of that number of times, I don't remember what the percentage was, but
100. He faced over 20,000, and I can't remember the exact numbers. Over 20,300 batters.
Thanks, John.
In his career.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like 320 or 301 of them, just over 300 of them went to a 3-0 count.
Mm-hmm.
And 177 of those who went to a 3-0 count were intentionally walked.
Yeah. And what made me think of that was I know Zach Birdie, the papers always say, he could top 100. Kopech can.
Yeah.
I don't know if Fulmer gets up that high, but he's, the point would be they talk about these guys' stuff. But as we've said many times on this show, stuff is, do you know how to pitch? That's the big thing.
Yeah. You can have great stuff. You can have great stuff, but if you can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
What good are you?
Yeah, it's no good to you. So.
So that there's some interesting players to watch. As looking on their catcher, Zach Collins.
Yeah.
Now they're going to start out with.
He's already in the minor league camp.
Yeah, Omar Narvaez.
It's going to be Narvaez and Soto.
Yeah, I think so.
Gonzalez was sent down.
Gonzalez on the roster, at least here, they had another guy named Kevin Smith.
Yeah, Kevin Smith was the guy who came up last year, was ready to play in a game, and I think sneezed or something in the on-deck circle and hurt himself and never made it into the game. Yeah,
from the Charlie Tilson School of Injury.
Yeah, well, they had 2 or 3 of those last year. I think.
Yeah, I think
guy
so.
was ready to make his debut, and all of a sudden he's hurt before he even gets started.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't, just blame all the trainers and fire the training staff for that or something.
Yeah.
That would be typical.
That would be White Sox. That's so Sox.
Yeah.
So there's some players that would be interesting to watch. I think the White Sox are going to be very interesting to see how this team develops and see how fast they develop.
Yeah, well, I think you said the key thing, though, Jim. We hope whoever is in the front office that feels they need to develop too fast, that person, they sort of put the reins on that person and let these guys develop, and when they're major league ready, let them come up.
Yeah. I really would hope for that more than you try to rush and instead of trying to rush them along. I mean, look at the patience that the Cubs showed for all these years. for all those years to get them to this point
Yeah.
where they are now. And I mean, you look at some of the prospects that are still in there. I mean, you look at Eloy Jimenez, Ian Happ.
Right.
You know, there's Jeimer Candelario. Well, you're not going to get Bryant off of third base, but boy, here's another one that's really outstanding.
It'll be interesting as the time goes by and those guys hopefully increase their value. You know, how the Cubs will actually, view them. Are they going to be people who are trading
Currency?
Who are going to be currency? Because after this year, we'll probably lose two or at least two starting pitchers and possibly three. So, I mean, you don't know. Put it this way. Arrieta is probably going to be gone. Lackey possibly be gone.
Lackey may retire.
So,
Arrieta said it's a business.
Yeah.
And he has to look at it that way.
Now, Happ, they're saying he's, I think, at least the last I read, he was having a very good spring training. And Jimenez, Joe Madden has said, hey, this guy gets it. I mean, but we have a crowded outfield situation, and he's not quite at the point where he's ready for the big league club.
Yeah, he was in low A last summer. And he was 329, 14 home runs, and 81 RBIs in low A.
What I'm thinking is that as you go, I'll tell you what's not concerning me, but what's an interesting situation is even with Jason Hayward having worked on his swing, it doesn't seem, at least spring training so far, has not produced very much in the way of results.
No, I think it's still somebody put a survey up that the winning choice on what they thought of Jason Hayward's swing was still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Now, the comment talking about prospects, the number 4 prospect is a guy we'll see a lot this year, Albert Almora. But their comment regarding him, he's already established his big league credentials. But the Cubs' outfield depth and Almora's lack of a high offensive ceiling potentially limit his overall prospect status and utility in Chicago.
Yeah, well, there's where Jimenez comes in my mind again, because I would say, as Albert Almora, because I would agree from what I've seen, and it's not a knock on Albert Almora, but I think that little recap that you just read there is, to me, at this point in time, seems to be accurate. And I think that Albert Almora will be a good major league player, but he may be somebody that could be utilized as currency as well.
Sure.
And maybe Jimenez, if they feel he has a bigger upside offensively, he may be the guy you're going to look at as a regular outfielder at some point in the future.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now, I have to ask you. Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead.
I have to ask you this, because we started to talk about some of this stuff, and it went out of my mind. And what sort of brought it to the front of my mind was when we were talking about Greg Maddux and the intentional walks. What do you think about this new rule proposed by Rob Manfred about the intentional walk?
It's been installed.
Yes.
I always thought the idea of an intentional walk was kind of the dumbest thing, where you got to throw 4 wide pitches, although you get somebody who once or twice a year somebody will reach across the plate and nail it.
Mm-hmm.
If he's looking to save time, what did I see? He might save 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Over the course of a game.
Yeah. I know the players that, at least the ones in the articles I've seen that have been interviewed, are against it. Yeah. And I put it this way: 16-inch softball. You want to just send the guy to first base, fine. But when you play in league ball, because of what you said, guys have hit those pitches. Occasionally, either the catcher or the pitcher somehow gets screwed up. You'll see the ball get thrown wildly. And especially the Cubs. One of the Cubs players made mention, and it happened in the World Series. I don't know if we were intentionally walking one of their guys or vice versa, but he said this is potentially a series, a turning play if you really think about it. And now you're just going to send the guy down to first. You know what? Hey, I love 16-inch softball. I'm a softball guy. Major League Baseball's not 16-inch softball. If you want 16-inch softball rules in Major League Baseball, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are two different animals, and I'm not for that rule at all.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Going back to Almora, I know Joe is already talking about one of the ways he's going to use him, especially with
John Jay.
Well, also with the days. Yeah, there'll be John Jay, but the days that Almora is in the lineup, and if Schwarber is leading off, Almora is going to hit 9.
Mm-hmm.
And put your pitcher in the 8 spot.
Yeah.
Because Joe's philosophy is it's almost like you got another leadoff man.
Yeah.
At some point, which I understand.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't exactly thrilled. A little touch of the getting to you there.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Well, we run a classy show here.
Sure.
I understand his philosophy about it, trying to get a little more offense to start off an inning, especially get a guy who has the potential to get on base and then followed up by your big gun.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to the days of if Schwarber's leading off, I'm thinking back to the days of Rick Monday hitting 26 home runs and batting in 57 runs for the year.
Yeah, I mean, but
Schwar-
it's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Of course, they look at this stat. Maybe put it this way: it gets publicized more than it did back in the day in Monday's day. But Schwarber is a good on-base guy. He gets a lot of walks. So, you look at him and you might not think of an ideal leadoff guy, but at least on paper, the concept makes some sense, and we'll see how it plays out. I know that I remember Gene Mock one year was the manager of the National League All-Star team, and he had Aaron, Mays, and Clemente in the outfield, and there was no obvious leadoff hitter on that team that year, so he had Willie Mays lead off. And I remember I was still a kid at the time and read the Sporting News religiously, and he had said that had Willie Mays been on his team, Willie Mays would be the leadoff hitter, and he gave his reasons why. So if Willie Mays, who was obviously a good base runner but a power hitter, usually in the 3 spot in the Giants order, I think Mock's thinking was solid there. I think the thinking is good here. Again, I don't know if that's what's going to happen throughout the course of the season, but I understand how they came to decide this, and they're going to start off with this initially, and we'll see how it works.
Okay. Oh, what do we got?
Yeah, we got the Blackhawks on a tear.
Oh my gosh, that game the other night, that game Sunday,
Unbelievable.
3 goals in 3 minutes, was it?
3 goals in 34 seconds.
Or 3
goals in 3 minutes.
4 goals in 3 minutes. 3 goals in 34 seconds.
Yeah.
And that was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Bill Papish kept texting me. He said, Taves scored. Then, boom, Panik scored.
Yeah.
Then Panarin scored. I'm like, what the is he?
Yeah.
What I mean, have I lost track of time here or what? Then he texts me. He says, 3 goals in 34 seconds.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
And they almost lost that one on Panik's goal because it was challenged.
Oh, okay.
It originally they challenged the call because they said Taves was offsides.
Yeah, yeah.
But the issue was the puck was in the zone, but nobody had touched it.
Okay.
So he got himself onside before Panik came in on the wing and touched the puck.
I see.
Which
okay.
I was surprised. I thought the puck couldn't precede anybody into the offensive zone.
I think they may have modified the rules.
They may have modified that, but you looked at the video,
yeah,
and you could see where the puck was, and you could see the puck over the blue line, and Taves about this far, one skate being about this far away from the blue line.
Yeah. Okay.
And but the ruling was he had not touched the puck with his skate or with his stick. So, good goal.
Good goal. Yeah. No, they've been playing really well.
Isn't it nice to see Q use the kids?
They always said, the papers had a tendency to say that he didn't like young players, but then all of a sudden they'd sit back and think about it and say, well, what about this guy? What about this guy?
Yeah.
So he had used the young players. This is
even more so this year.
This is the first time, though, we've had this many at one time. But obviously they're doing what they're supposed to do, because the one guy who's not with us at this point, and I don't know what the deal is exactly, is Hinostroza. He's down in Rockford. But the rest of the guys, and you know what? If I saw Vinny Hinostroza, I went down to Johnny's Ice House West with a friend of mine, saw them scrimmage. And nothing about his play, but Vinny Hinostroza is not a big guy. He's a skinny guy. And a lot of hockey players aren't huge guys, but he's not, he's thin. So it may be that he just needs to fill out before he can be more effective defensively. I don't know. That'd be a guess.
Yeah, I like the young kid that
John Hayden.
John Hayden.
Yeah,
came from Yale. Week prior to a couple of weeks ago, he was playing Yale against Harvard in the East Coast Athletic Conference tournament.
Yeah.
Now on spring break, he's playing with the Blackhawks.
Boy, I know a guy who gave me the goods on this guy way long before before he made his debut. I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago.
Really?
Adam McCready.
Yeah.
Told me, says, hey, and Adam is a Hawks fan,
yeah.
and he's got it. For some reason, he doesn't like Patrick Kane. He says, but watch this guy, John Hayden. He tells me, this is 3-4 years ago. So once in a while, John Hayden's name would pop into my head, and I checked the Hawks website, and I couldn't find any. John Hayden would be there, his picture and maybe a little bio, but I couldn't find any activity in the juniors. That he wasn't with Rockford. I'm like, what the heck's with this? And then about 2 weeks ago, I look at the paper. The Hawks signed John Hayden to a 2-year deal. Look for him to play with the team before the season's over. Well, Adam happened to be in Los Angeles, and I texted him. I said, hey, your guy, I don't know if you saw this, but your guy, John Hayden, is going to be with the team. And he got back to me, said, no, he says, being out here in L.A., I really didn't, they didn't really pick up on that. But I just saw Adam yesterday, and he said, man, you called it. Because this is 3-4 years ago. He said, this guy's going to be on the Hawks.
He was a third-round draft pick in 2013.
Wow.
And you know how they got that pick? That's when they traded Michael Frolik to the Jets after winning the Cup.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Still got some classwork to finish up at Yale, but I think he's going to do well.
Yeah. He's a big guy, and he throws his weight around a little bit, and he's got some skills. So
yeah, and I think it's nice, too. We got one more shift coming up on Thursday's game against the Stars, and Eddie Belfour's going to get one more shift.
Oh, good. Eddie Belfour is good.
Eddie Belfour gets one more shift.
Excellent.
I saw that when they did it for Roenick.
Yeah.
He skated to center ice, got down on his knees, and kissed the Indian.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie Belfour, and I'm not going to go out a lot, but when you think about great Hawks goaltenders, you have Glenn Hall, you got Esposito, you got Belfour, and of course, I think Corey Crawford will enter that, or probably already has entered that foursome. But yeah, Eddie Belfour, one of the greatest goaltenders the Hawks have ever had.
Absolutely. All right, we've managed to kill another hour of not knowing what to talk about and sitting here trying to figure out and managing to do it.
Yes.
John,
are you with us?
Are you awake?
No, he's shaking his head.
John?
No, he's not awake.
No, you're not awake. Are we keeping you up, John? Is that the problem? You were cleaning the kitchen up after when I got here. I think it smelled like you must have had eggs.
I just had eggs. Yeah.
I thought so. He was cleaning the frying pan up.
I thought we might beat John over to his house because I saw him over at the Siebes Center. He was there for the SAC Center meeting. And I happened to see him as he left got out of his truck, and he said, "Rich, the
back door's open.
In case you get there before I do, the back door's open." But it ended up they had a pretty short meeting. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, John. I think we'll leave now.
Yeah,
Think so?
we're ready. Yeah,
we're ready.
We're out of here.
We're out of here. I can't think of anything else I want to talk about today. And then once we get off the air, we can rant about other things.
Sure.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
John's nodding his head. Oh boy.
Okay.
All right. A lot of fun once again. Enjoyed doing this. We'll do this nonsense again in a couple of weeks, and we'll be getting closer to baseball season. Then getting closer to opening day.
Yeah.
We might actually make some predictions, but until that time, we are Taillights.
You have been listening to Armchair Experts from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, March the 22nd on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflick of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Tuesday, March the 21st, the year 2017. In the meantime, be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. Have a great day, everyone.